Yo! What's up, interesting earthlings? You see, it is not impossible to unite all people of Earth. And wonderful source, how can we achieve that? Well, it's by being honest with one another, being forgiving of where we go wrong, you see? And above all, spreading love so that we can all live in peace. Wonderful soul, thank you very much for clicking this video. You see, you have proven yourself to be full of good vibes. And that way you can help us in making this message of peace possible. You see? So wonderful. So, Ashib shall be reacting together to videos that we shall see here. Kindly leave your comments, hit the like button and tell us where you are watching from. And for those that have clicked for the first time, well, I am Y311H. Straight out of Africa. Here to spread love and good vibes. Let's dive in.
If you see this, do not pick it up.
If you're a superstitious man, this is some bad mojo, dude. You don't want to pick that helmet up. This is a video that was recommended to me by a subscriber on YouTube, shout out Brendan Drake, and this video went super viral on YouTube showing this guy who's just recently dug up what looks to be an old World War II era helmet. The guy then picks the helmet up, and there's a little bit of a struggle, and then we find out why, because the rest of the soldier is underneath the helmet if you catch my drift. For some reason though, this guy's not worried about this and picks up the helmet and removes it and places it on the ground. Now there's not a lot of context behind this video, but I really hope that this guy is authorized to do this and that he's just trying to return the soldier to his family or at least his descendants. But if not, and this guy was just randomly digging and discovered this in the woods and decided to move it, this is a really bad idea, and obviously if you're superstitious, this guy is definitely going to be cursed or haunted at the very least. I'll let you guys know if I find any other updates here, but if this guy did just randomly find this, I would put the helmet back and call the appropriate authorities to come deal with it.
Huh? Did you know that, wonderful earthlings?
Your head has this spiral, which is the Fibonacci sequence, which comes from the rotating fields of magnetism. Sound creates magnetic fields create electricity. The sound of you talking creates torus fields, which permeates the whole of creation. Everything manifests as a torus field. Literally everything, including yourself. Your heart is a vortex, and the pulsing sound of it creates this electromagnetic torus field around your body. If you looked down on this electromagnetic field, you'd see the flower or the lotus of life, which is the Fibonacci sequence. This field spirals inwards into the head and out on the feet or the torso. If you look down on your head, this is why you see this spiral. It comes from all of the spiraling of your electromagnetic field coming in the head, which is the crown chakra. Look at the symbol for the crown chakra. It's the flower, which has the same pattern as this. Your spirit is a spiral, a spiraling electromagnetic field. The Fibonacci sequence connects the macrocosm to the microcosm because this will go for infinity. This means you are a microcosm of the macrocosm. You are God made flesh. You are the universe.
Oh man, new stuff this one's. Good vibes all the way. Multiple tall beings were filmed just above the clouds, walking along some kind of vehicle, fifth dimensional building. Oh my god. More proof we truly are merging with the fifth dimension. Or what do you think this is trying to imply here? You see? That crazy stuff there in the sky and the clouds. Oh, what does that stuff look like? Some sheep or of some kind there? Good people over. This is some crazy stuff that we are seeing here. Eh? Where do you think these stuff are coming from, which I have been seeing in different episodes here, there? Now there's a lot of activities up there in the clouds. And you might wonder what's really going on, you see? Are those humans in some funny suits? Are these drones? Oh my god, are this stuff being projected to the sky? Or what's really going on? Wonderful others. You see? We need to be honest with one another to understand this stuff. Yo, it will spread good vibes. Thanks for clicking in, for watching up to this far. Kindly watch till the end. There is more interesting videos coming your way today, you see? Huh. Look at this, man. Which creatures are those? You see, those must be extremely tall creatures. For us to be able to see them like that clearly, in the crowds. You see, they must be very big. You see, or what do you think, wonderful people? Oh, this is some crazy stuff, man. Oh, man. Those that have clicked for the first time, man, feel much welcome and drunk.
So how many people here are seeing Bashar for the first time? Oh, quite a lot. Okay. Thank you for coming. Where'd you all come from? All of a sudden, out of the woodwork. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Because there are a lot of new people here, let me just do a very, very brief explanation of what's going on here. Bashar, I'm sure, is there anyone here who's not even familiar with what channeling is? Okay, good. That saves me a little bit of explaining. Bashar presents himself as an extraterrestrial entity. They have a civilization in a slightly altered dimension. They do have a physicality, but they're evolving into a more non-physical form. But this sort of came about as a result of two broad daylight, very close UFO sightings I had here in LA 30 years ago. That started me on an investigative path to find out what UFOs and metaphysical things were all about. Eventually that path led me to discover channeling coming through another channel, and eventually the entity through that channel offered to teach channeling for whoever is interested. And I went into the class just as part of my research, but found out to my surprise while in the class that I received a telepathic connection that opened up a memory of having made an agreement to do this in this life with Bashar, who has described himself as my future self. And in some sense, therefore, I'm his past self on this planet. And in their world, time is not what it is to us, so they have the ability to sort of connect with me as his past self, and when my brainwaves link with his, you get a translation of his thoughts into the language, obviously, that I was raised to understand. And he delivers whatever he feels is the most important and pertinent information at this point.
Am I the only one, or has anyone else thought of why would the astronauts have their star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame? Why are they actors?
Hey, oh my god.
This is not the flower of life. This is the daisy of death.
Let's talk about how that is wrong on so many levels. So since today is Pi Day, 3.14, March 14th, I want to explain why that is one of the worst things I've ever heard here on TikTok. This is not the daisy of death. This is the flower of life. The flower of life is a two-dimensional representation of this geometric matrix grid, okay? So in this matrix that we live in, we have this manifested creation that is based off of sacred geometry. Well, this sacred geometry on a two-dimensional scale is what we call the flower of life. It is made up of circles and triangles. You'll see the circles, they create petals. And then in between those petals is a spherical triangle. Well, that is what you see above me. This is the tetrahedron grid. When we drop the two-dimensional basic matrix out of this tetrahedron system, we're left with the masculine. Well, the feminine is the circle, the sphere. The masculine is the triangle or the tetrahedron. Well, you might say, how do I know I'm right or I'm correct on this? Well, this is a 64 tetrahedron grid. Well, we have the inverse square law of light and sound, and octave, halving, and doubling. 8, 16, 32, 64. This is doubling, right? Well, within this is made up of 144 outer triangles. 144. It's a number with space and time. Well, in this is each triangle 180 degrees. When we take this together, 25,920. The complete zodiacal wheel precession of the equinox, 25,000 years, 920. Now we have space and we have time, a beginning and an end. Each zodiacal year is 2,160 years. A cube is 2,160 degrees. So within this cube are all these packed spheres, and within these spheres are all these tetrahedrons. These are the three planes of dimensional understanding: the eternal plane, the ethereal plane, and the physical plane. You still with me here? I hope so. So now here we have dropped out this feminine 2D. Now we have this masculine, the 3D, that third dimensional aspect take rise. This is the matrix. This is the level of understanding. So when we say the daisy of death, that's not true. It is just doesn't have the third dimensional male aspect of that spiral of phi. The phi ratio is height, depth, width. You have 3 points. The trinity. It is the triad. Just like the circle of fifths and sound, it is the same thing. It's the toroidal field. Contraction, expansion, centrifugal, centripetal motions. So lastly, let me leave you with this. When we plot out all these numbers of the Fibonacci spiral out, we get a sequence, right? We have this motion. Well, now we see this sequence, and when we write this out, the sequence of this forever spiral, now breaking down to its base root form, you see the doubling pattern. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. So within the sequence is the hidden sequence. Like I said before, it is just dimensions, levels of understanding. Within the Fibonacci spiral is a 60-digit hidden sequence. Within that 60-digit sequence is a hidden 24-digit sequence. These are dimensional levels of these numbers and understanding of the square, the circle, and the triangle. Sacred geometry.
Huh. Do you know the stuff of secret geometry, good people of Earth, eh? And also stuff of big fish like this ones. What do you call this one now? Oh my god. Hey, this fish is very big.
This is why Freemasons refer to God as the great architect. Because God was working, God geometrizes. Sometimes Freemasons refer to God as the grand geometrician. That all of creation has this geometry inherent in it. And when you start looking, it's there. Yeah. You can see it. To the point where, no, you cannot dismiss this as coincidence anymore. Yeah. There's some kind of a pattern here. And I don't claim to ultimately know what it is, but I can show examples, and in my classes and lectures and stuff, I show example after example after example, and how there's a certain set of numbers that recur over and over and over again, and they're found on sacred structures all over the world.
Yep, I've seen a lot of documentaries covering the pyramids.
Yeah, have you seen the work of Robert Edward Grant?
I've been on.
Oh man, unbelievable stuff those.
All right, Dan, now I need you to hold him right there at your waist level. Here, hold this. 2 kittens, and Romeo, and Dan, and Jake, the cock whisperer, for making these sexy little t-shirts.
Oh man, hey, look at this.
Here is the crystal of consciousness. This is the skeleton of an alien being on Mercury. It has no bone structure. It's all crystals. It has no hand. But you will see the hand in detail. You look very carefully. You see the gray metatype, except here is a dragon over here. But some spots. Usually elbows, hands. There's some small ones. But the black dragon, if you look very carefully, the face, the head, and come down the belly, down the legs. So those are the black dragons. It consists of 2 parts. Now when we reverse this, then you will see the dragons. Now they are crystal people, they live light. Now one thing you can notice, when I take a picture of these, the head lights up because absorbing the light. Their heads light up like a light bulb because the crystal is much bigger there, and they have all the crystals and all the control in the head, so that's where all the energy goes. They also goes into their chest. When their chest light up, they have the hourglass. Energy people, light people, and they live off light.
like wings up there. Is those wings?
This is not part of him. That's another person. You see here, I flipped around the field, so you can see the dragon in white. See? Coming down here, all the way down the leg, and comes up to the face. Okay? From his ears, a connection from crystals, actually it's a dragon, comes into the shoulder. So these two Sumerian seals. Yeah, as you see, the Sumerians have no hand. They only a marble at the tip of the hand. Now from that marble jumps out a genetic string, and that will modify into a hand depending on his use, what he wants to grab. So they sort of have instant hand, which they use it and retract it. They retract it because they want to go back to the original arrangement of unified order, because that's what they use to charge up, to pick up energy. Okay.
It's one of the hats.
Oh, the hats, that's also, you will see that hat's also on the picture. You see another one over here, you see. And you also see this hat, which you also will able to see. We're going to get there.
There are balls or spheres all over these pictures.
Oh yeah, correct. Yeah, because.
Any relevance? Any thoughts?
Oh yeah, well they all telling about the genetics, the unified order. Unified order, everything is bond, everything is round. That's automatic, and then and that's what they're telling you. If you look at all the structure, physical structure, that's what they try to get us across. That they made from unified crystals, which comes perfect round like a planet. It's in order. Now you can see here the hand, the little ball. There's no fingers, and you can see it over there. See all the crystal on the arm over here, down to the elbow. You can see all the crystals here. You can see here the dragon coming out from the ear to the connection, because that's where the communicator crystals are. And they come down to the hands. Okay, again, the white is the light-absorbing dragon, or the light-emitting dragon. Black dragons converts dark matter to light, and it's emanating through square holes, through their skin, square holes. They're reflecting light, hundreds of lights through the skin. Okay, we get to that in a minute.
What planet was this?
Mercury, but they have the...
Hey, good people, but did you know this stuff, eh?
Hey! Alright guys, look. So I was just coming up this hill right here, right? And this hill, yeah, and there was some roots, and I saw this.
Of a tree.
I saw this, which I thought, well, that's kind of strange looking. And so I picked it up, right? Let's see if they can see it.
Yep, right there. Okay, guys. As you guys can see, hold it up higher. Yep. No, higher. Closer.
I don't know if you can see it.
We'll take a picture of it if we have to, guys, but
anyway,
in different spots, it looks like green glass.
Yeah, the sun went away on us there.
Anyways.
Yeah. Cool, fine. I'm going to show you... I'm going to show you a look at the inside, and I'm going to put a flashlight behind it so you can see what it is. All right.
So as you guys can see, it looks like glass, and it's not.
What's it called? Moldavite.
Moldavite. It's something that is, it's like the only homemade, you'd have to research it. I just did, and I completely forgot what it was.
So cool, guys.
So without it,
so
just
cool.
looks like a rock, right? And then with it, it's kind of reminds me of The Mask, the movie with Jim Carrey.
Cool little find.
Wicked cool.
Can somebody please tell me if this is what I think it is or not? Because I really sure would like to know.
Oh, what is that stuff? How can you use it?
Any sore, any cut, any burn, any inflammation, any fever, any itis of any sort, any bruise is anger. All these things are anger that's turned against the self. Hair, metaphysically, is strength. Now, it's interesting when you think about how hair grows. The hair grows through the hair follicle. And very often, when we get tight and tense and nervous, we have it started back here in the shoulders, we bring it up through the neck and over the top of the scalp, and very often we bring it down around the eyes too. But when the scalp is really tight and the hair can't breathe, then it falls over and dies. And if we keep that scalp really tight with tension, the new hairs can't grow through, and we get what we call baldness. Now, just for a moment, I would like everybody in the room to relax their scalp. Okay, did your scalp move? You don't have to tell me, just know yourself. That means that you normally keep your scalp in a state of tension. And it might be a wonderful exercise for you about 10 times a day to just say, scalp, you can relax. Just let go. And begin to make a habit of relaxing your scalp. Tightening your scalp does not do anything in the world.
Yo, look at this good vibes birds here decided to take a bath. Or what are they doing? They're spectating one of these big vibes animals. Oh, hey, these birds had come to interact with this one. Yo, this is nice, man. Oh, looks like this friend from the water has some Air Force friends. This is good vibes. No, and they can even get in the water there and chill with him. Oh, this is nice. Wonderful gatherings. You see how these animals are just wonderful and even to love one another? And then there's this. This isn't special effects. What is this misty figure? Good people of Earth. Let's see. What do you think that stuff is? Oh, if this is not stuff from the movie, this is scary stuff. And then the South skeleton, centaur skeleton discovered in Cyprus. DNA analysis confirmed parts of this stuff was human. Head and horns and no lower human ribs were found. Ha! Oh my god. And then there's this earthquake in Taiwan. A 7.4 magnitude earthquake. Oh, this is crazy. And this is how it looks like, man. Allegedly, this is the strongest that has happened in 25 years there. This is crazy. Yo, look at this, man. You might think it's the camera that is shaking, but no, it's the earthquake that is happening there. This is scary, man. Good people of Earth, what do you think is really going on with this place we live? You see, you've been seeing crazy stuff, water coming from the mountains. Now the world is shaking. What is really going on? Wonderful Earth. That's why we really need to connect with nature and all that it involves. You see, that way we can be able to understand stuff like this. And it can even help us to prepare for them. Or what do you think, good people of Earth? Because other stuff like this now, how do you explain them? It's really surprising. And sad to see the destruction that might be caused by just natural calamities, you see? And you are always really going down. Well, anyway, interesting earthlings. Thanks for always watching up to this far. Leaving your comments there. It's great, man. Good vibes to you. I wish you love and luck all the time. And this is what happens when electrons travel faster than light in a nuclear reactor. Yo, look at this, man. This is crazy. Can you see that wave there that is being formed? Yo, is that a reactor?
If you ever saw this video before, check out how this trauma surgeon explains not only the crucifixion, but the events leading up to the crucifixion.
Yeah, I believe that Christ's suffering and the demonstration of the kind of physiologic stress that his human body was under is manifested in the Garden of Gethsemane, where it's described that he was sweating blood. And there is a well-documented medical condition in which patients who are under tremendous amount of emotional stress and physiological stress can in fact sweat blood, because little blood vessels within the glands burst and then the blood is expressed. The scourge involved the use of a short whip with pieces of typically metal, sometimes bone, sometimes pieces of porcelain wrapped in these leather straps, which is then utilized to come across typically the back, the shoulders, the legs of the victim. And the first few passes across a particular body part would tear through the skin, the fat, but eventually, once the outer layers were torn away, it would start getting in the muscle and the tendon. And of course, along the way, you're ripping through all the blood vessels that supply all those tissues. And so you're losing blood the whole time. The plant that was described actually had a very long thorn, not the little thorns that we would think from a rose bush. These were thorns that were typically 1.5 to 2 inches in length. The scalp is one of the most vascular portions of our bodies. It had a huge blood supply up there. So then having those thorns shoved down into the, down onto the bony plate would have gone through all the scalp, which in and of itself would have created a huge amount of blood loss. I've seen people actually bleed to death from just a scalp injury. So this is not a small injury to have, who knows, dozens of these things shoved into your scalp. And so that would have caused more blood loss. Typically, when a victim has to carry the cross, what has been described in the literature, in actual Roman literature, is they describe, they carry the crossbar. And the crossbar is estimated, alone, was estimated to weigh about 110 pounds. And of course, if your arms are stuck out here, wrapped up on the crossbar, and you fall down, you need help getting up. You just can't get up on your own because there's no possible way without your arms to get up. So he would have needed help getting up. If he fell over, there's a good chance that he could have hit his chest, which then could account for the possibility of a cardiac injury. Anatomically, we consider the wrists as part of the hand, and so with the placement of the nails between the radius and the ulna, at that position, it still fits the definition of being in the hand, and it's in a position in which the nail won't rip out, which you have to have a solid point of fixation. Another interesting point about the placement of that is the median nerve goes right straight through that particular portion of the wrist, and so there would have been either destruction of the nerve or impingement of the nerve that would have created a tremendous amount of pain, so that every time you try to take a breath, it'd be agonizing. You'd be pushing down on spiked feet, which of course hurt, and then you'd be hanging on spiked arms. And so you alternate from excruciating pain to excruciating pain every time you take a breath. So even if he survives the actual crucifixion, he would have had to survive what I believe to be a lethal injury from the spear to find out whether he was alive or not. What's described is the loss of water and blood, and that would entail either either pleural effusion or pericardial effusion, and the blood would have come from either pulmonary artery, a pulmonary vein, the aorta or vena cava, or the heart itself. None of those injuries, unless you're treated immediately by a trauma surgeon like myself, with all the advanced equipment that we have, would be survivable after even a few minutes. Christ, as the Son of God, could have survived anything. He chose to manifest himself as a human at that point in time and allowed himself to die. And being human at that point in time, he could not have survived this particular series of traumas. It's not possible. Christ as God could have survived anything they threw at him. But he chose to be Christ, the human, at that point in time to die for our sins. And that given that self-limitation of remaining to be human, he died. He did not survive the event. I'm profoundly impacted by it, because I realized the price that he paid was something I would never be willing to do for probably anybody. it's very difficult for me to even sing songs about the cross, even in worship. Because I truly do understand what he paid, the price that he paid.
If you had difficulties believing that Jesus is God before, you shouldn't have any struggle now after listening to the details of those events. Jesus is King of Kings, Lord of Lords. He is God in the flesh. Grace and peace.
Yo, wonderful Earthlings. Thank you very much for watching up to this far, man. You see, you are loved and respected. You see, people have different beliefs across the world. You see, others believe in God, others don't, and others just have their own beliefs. But you see, myself, I believe in God, and from the way I've been brought up is from a Christian background. And you see now this story that this surgeon was talking about, good people of earth, let's just take a moment and think about it. Imagine there was that person that was willing to die for the whole world, to sacrifice themselves, you see, to even go through all that suffering which they could have avoided. You see, if that's true, man, that's something unbelievable, you see, and that's love beyond what we can even explain. You see, that's what we are always talking about here. Caring for your neighbor like you do for yourself. Loving your neighbor the way you love yourself, you see. Because if this story of Christ is true, man, he really loved us. And he died for all of us. Then we should all love one another. With the evil, these differences and where we come from, we should always spread love and caring, you see. Thanks for watching up to this far, wonderful souls. Thank you for hitting the like button and leaving comments. You're all loved, respected, and great, man, you see. Always wonderful souls. Never ever live without hitting the like button. And respect to you, man. Josie, how are you doing, man? Good vibes to you. I hope you are fine. Oh, how are you, Gina and Christy Hutchins? Everybody, man, I hope you are well. Why don't you leave comments today, everybody? If you have watched, leave comments. You see, it will be great. Bye-bye. Till next time, you are all loved and respected. Peace, man.